At the family dinner, my father brought me a new little sister. Her soft black hair hung down, and her large round eyes sparkled with unshed tears. She clung to his back like a frightened little rabbit, her hands clutching his coat hem. It was a scene designed to evoke pity. My father gently stroked her head, his voice soothing. "Lily, don't be afraid. Your father is here." As he spoke, her eyes darted timidly towards my mother and me as if we were beasts of prey. I almost laughed out loud, but suppressed it, only rolling my eyes. My father finished comforting his little girl and turned to my mother. "Claire, I know I was wrong about this, but Lily's mother is seriously ill and can't take care of her. I had no choice but to bring her home. Please don't hold a grudge." My mother lowered her head and remained silent. However, my aunt, who always considered herself a wise elder, immediately spoke up. "Oh, come on. Everyone knows James has never forgotten his first love, but his heart is still with you, my dear. This little girl is well behaved. She's only staying temporarily, so don't be too harsh, sister-in-law." I coldly watched my aunt's smug face, protecting Lily more than her own child. I heard that when my father married my mother years ago, she was so angry she screamed like a mad dog. Now that she sees my father relying on my mother to rebuild his career, she thinks she has the right to make decisions for our family. Just then, that seemingly well-behaved girl's eyes met mine. In that instant, the look of weakness and timidity vanished, replaced by a flash of cunning brilliance. "Temporary stay?" I sneered inwardly. She was clearly not here for a visit. She was here to snatch the family fortune. The atmosphere seemed warm, but beneath the surface, there was a hidden dagger. The three of them had their own calculations, all aimed directly at my mother. But my mother only smiled, her eyes slightly curved, as light as a scorpion's tail barely flicking. Of course, she didn't mind. After all, that girl was just an illegitimate daughter. My father and aunt smiled, satisfied, thinking my mother had conceded. Only I knew that smile only appeared when my mother was about to crush someone under her heel. The illegitimate daughter's name was Lily, a pure-sounding name, but she was truly a manipulative white lotus. The evidence was before me today, a shattered porcelain cup on the floor, and Lily, clutching her arm, tears streaming, sitting on the ground, performing so well that a drama teacher would cry. "Scarlett, what have you done?" my father roared. Lily cried torrentially. "Dad, sis, didn't mean to scold me. It was my fault for being careless." I bumped into her. How could a slight bump spill an entire cup of hot water? My father looked at the red scald on her arm and turned to scold me. "Intentionally or not, you must apologize to your sister." I sneered, crossing my arms. "Apologize for what? She ran into me herself." My father's face darkened and he raised his hand, intending to slap me. He saw the daughter he raised turn out to be someone worthless, but my mother stepped in just in time, blocking his arm. "Scarlett has a stubborn temper, you know that." My mother spoke softly, but her eyes quickly scanned Lily's burn. "My heavens, such a severe burn. I apologize on Scarlett's behalf, dear." She maintained her gentle smile, her voice is so soft, but I saw the coldness in her eyes, like frost covering a blade. The next day, a cup full of boiling water unexpectedly fell from the second floor. It was aimed at me, but slightly missed, hitting my father instead. His entire arm was bright red with burns, and he grimaced in pain. My mother looked at Lily and cried out, "Lily, I know your sister was wrong yesterday, but I already apologized for her. How could you throw a cup of hot water from the second floor at her?" Lily's face was horrified. She frantically waved her hands, denying it. "It wasn't me. I don't know what happened. Scarlett was downstairs, and only you were on the second floor." "Are you accusing me?" Lily was so furious she ground her teeth, her eyes blazing with anger. From the angle my father couldn't see, she looked ready to pounce and tear my mother apart. Too bad she couldn't vent her rage. After all, she had to remain my father's weak, delicate daughter. My mother showed a look of pain. "Lily, why are you still denying it? Look, the force of your throw hit your father instead, scalding him like this." My father frowned, and Lily's eyes brimmed with tears, unable to defend herself. Being falsely accused was truly pitiful. A stark contrast to the manipulative white lotus who pretended to be injured to frame me yesterday. My mother smiled, though the smile was quickly replaced by a worried expression. Then again, Scarlett did hurt Lily first. It's surely because she's never had siblings and doesn't know how to get along. But it's all right. She draped her arm over my shoulder, saying, "I've brought a brother home for Scarlett. This way, Scarlett will learn how to get along with her sister." As soon as she finished, a handsome teenager was led into the house by the butler. The teenager had a clear voice and smiled at me. "Little sister, hello." My father's expression was priceless, turning black, then red, then green. "Claire, who is this?" His voice was tight with suppressed anger. He stared at the teenager, who was completely unfazed. The boy walked to my mother's side and she smiled brightly, patting his shoulder. "He is Scarlett's brother, Ethan. I hadn't planned to tell you, but since you brought Lily home, I naturally had to bring Ethan home too. Surely the three siblings can get along, right?" My father slammed his hand on the table and stood up. "Claire, who is that man? Why are you angry?" My mother blinked innocently. "I'm just like you, wanting to give the boy a home. As for who he is, you'll find out later." My father was speechless. My mother's words choked him, leaving him unable to find any counter-argument. My mother acted as if she didn't notice, enthusiastically leading Ethan to unpack his belongings. Seeing Lily biting her lip and glaring at me, I couldn't help but laugh. Be nice to each other, my good little sister. Of course, she wouldn't be nice to me. She would only continue to plot tricks. Ethan's belongings were moved in, including many heavy books. Lily smiled sweetly, with obvious ingratiation and manipulation in her eyes. She said she wanted to help Ethan unpack and carried a towering stack of books. As she walked past me, she suddenly tilted her foot and her hand shook. In the chaos, I saw a provocative smirk on her lips. I knew she intended to say I deliberately tripped her. However, just as the stack of heavy books was about to fall on me, Ethan kicked her. The tilt of the books immediately changed direction. Along with the sound of the books falling was Lily's cry of pain. She fell to the ground, a large red bump on her head from the hard corner of a book. Seeing Ethan shielding me, a look of ugliness flashed across her face. Haha, she wants to play tricks? Too bad it's useless. My father was uncontrollably angry and loudly demanded to know why Ethan kicked her. I quickly cried out, holding my slightly bruised leg. "Oh, my leg! How could my sister be so careless? She hit herself and hit me too. Dad, don't blame my brother. He saw that my sister couldn't hold the book steady and wanted to help. It was an emergency. That's why he kicked her. He meant well." I teared up, looking at him forlornly. My father coldly glanced at me and Ethan, then took Lily to apply ointment. Before leaving, Lily's look of suppressed rage almost made me applaud on the spot. Ethan crossed his arms, looking at my instantly normal leg, and raised an eyebrow, smiling. "Well done." I playfully stuck out my tongue. My big brother taught me well. For the next few days, Lily's face turned cold whenever she saw me. She was obviously plotting something malicious. Before she could act, I would loudly call out, "Brother!" As soon as Ethan arrived, she would instantly become well-behaved. She was outwardly submissive, but who knew what new schemes she was planning behind our backs? I pretended not to see her intentions and happily held my birthday party. At the party, my classmates, friends, and my father's relatives filled several large tables. My aunt's face was beaming as she chatted with my father's relatives. Lily wore a simple white t-shirt and pants, a stark contrast to my carefully styled appearance, looking like a pure, innocent white lotus flower. My aunt pulled her along to introduce her to the aunts and uncles, completely disregarding my mother's dignity. My mother didn't have many relatives. After my grandfather passed away a few years ago, my aunt thought even less of my mother. She didn't remember who had helped her brother, helping the James family turn things around and rise up. "This is James's little daughter, so obedient and excellent in school. Lily, hurry and show your awards and certificates to your aunts and uncles." However, Lily looked embarrassed, stammering and making excuses. When pressed, it turned out that her awards and certificates had been torn up and smeared with lipstick. Who did it? Oh, it was me. The petty older sister who was jealous of her. But I clearly hadn't even set foot in her room. I coldly watched the two of them perform this show to ruin my birthday, thinking, "So this is where you were waiting for me." Lily saw my composure and produced a piece of hard evidence. "Sister, your lipstick fell in my room. I'm returning it to you today," she said weakly, trembling as she handed over the lipstick. It was indeed mine. It was a custom-made gift from my desk mate for my last birthday, engraved with my name. Judging by this, it really seemed like I was jealous of my little sister and deliberately ruined her belongings to embarrass her. After all, who would tear up their own awards? The surroundings fell silent. A moment later, a startled classmate softly asked me, Scarlett, even if she's illegitimate, what you did wasn't very nice. As soon as these words were spoken, the people around quickly started whispering, constantly glancing at me. My aunt poured more oil on the fire. Scarlett, no matter how dissatisfied you are with your sister, you shouldn't do something like that. My father's face was expressionless. He patted Lily's shoulder to comfort her, his meaning crystal clear. A hint of triumph flashed in Lily's eyes, as if she felt she had finally avenged the days of being suppressed by me. Rejoicing too soon will lead to a very hard fall, I thought. Oh, little sister, why don't I remember going into your room and dropping this lipstick? I pretended to be surprised, my eyes shifting to Ethan. Did you pick it up somewhere else? Scarlett lost her lipstick. I helped her look for days and couldn't find it. I wonder where Lily picked it up. Ethan's expression was calm as he exchanged glances with me. Lily quickly said, "It was found in my room. Don't you believe me? Why would I destroy my own achievements? Is that so?" Ethan smiled, pulling up the surveillance video on his phone. "Who knows whether you did it or not? The surveillance footage clearly showed Lily secretly sneaking into my room and stealing the lipstick." Her face instantly turned pale. I looked at her reaction and teased, "That's right, who would be bored enough to do that to their own things? So, my good little sister, why did you take this lipstick from my room?" The crowd buzzed with chatter. The relatives who had previously wanted to criticize me turned to point fingers at Lily. My hot-tempered deskmate even rolled her eyes. "Scarlett, it looks like your sister really likes the lipstick I gave you. She likes it so much, she used it to color her own awards." My father, who had intended to use this occasion to introduce his little daughter, was now utterly humiliated. He quickly shouted, "Why did we install cameras in the house? Ethan, don't go too far." I immediately jumped in. I asked my brother to help me install them to prevent theft. "What's wrong, Dad?" My aunt tried to mediate, simply calling it a misunderstanding. At this point, my mother, who had been silent, spoke up. "That's right, Lily is so well behaved. How could she do such a thing? Did you and Lily say something, sis?" This one sentence shut up my aunt, who didn't dare to add any more fuel to the fire. I rested my chin on my hands, raising an eyebrow at Lily. I'd like to see what other tricks she can pull. Lily surprisingly didn't dare to pull any more stunts. But her mother, Helen, arrived. The woman, past 30, was still fair-skinned and beautiful, exactly like her daughter. The perfect white lotus stood at the main door, weeping tragically, leaning against my father like a fragile flower. "James, you said you'd take good care of our daughter, but now she's being bullied like this. How can I be at peace? If I didn't know the truth, I would have thought we were the ones bullying her." The woman cried while hugging Lily, occasionally coughing, emphasizing her weak and sickly state. My father comforted them, completely ignoring my mother and me standing beside him. "Helen, your health is fragile. Don't get angry over this and hurt yourself." His voice was gentle and patient, something I'd never heard before. After a few soft words, he said, "I've found someone to clean up a room. Why don't you move in today and take care of Lily yourself?" Helen sobbed a few times, her eyes darting towards my mother standing nearby. My father immediately understood. "With me here, you can stay with peace of mind." The two of them walked into the house, leaving my mother alone. In the following period, Helen showed me what a true manipulative white lotus was. Due to her busy work schedule, my mother suddenly fell ill, looking haggard in bed. Logically, my father should have shown my mother some concern, but Helen would pull my father away, claiming she wasn't feeling well. Sometimes citing heart pain, sometimes chest tightness. Although the doctor couldn't find anything wrong after half a day of examination, my father still ran around for her, bringing her meals and medicine. As for my mother, only Ethan and I looked after her. Even the nanny couldn't help but say, "Madam, why are you enduring this? The sir treats you like this." I choked up, my eyes stinging. "Mom, aren't you sad?" My mother stroked my head. "There's nothing to be sad about. Perhaps seeing no reaction from my mother, Helen became even more excessive. At home, one call from her, and my father would rush to her side. Lily was nestled between them, making my mother and me look like outsiders. Even when my mother went out to discuss business, Helen would run to my father's company to assert her presence. Claiming to deliver meals and check in, she was actually provoking my mother. My mother instantly became the subject of gossip for both companies, and even the entire business community. Until one day, Helen again claimed she was unwell and asked my mother to get her medicine. My mother didn't say a word and threw the medicine straight into the trash can. The entire afternoon, all I heard was Helen sobbing. That evening, my father pulled my mother to the small garden outside the villa to talk. I hid in a corner and saw my father's calculations laid bare. Claire, I know you must be uncomfortable these past few days. You don't want her in the house, but I truly owe Helen. When you wanted to marry me, I was forced by my family to break up with her. So what? My mother asked. When you were with me, you never mentioned having a little girlfriend. Bringing this up now, what do you want? My father quickly said, I don't mean anything else. I know you've helped my career a lot. I also know you love me deeply. Over the years, I've developed feelings for this family. My father considered, then continued, how about this, Claire? You sign a document, I'll take it to appease her, and she agreed to leave. My mother signed. My father left, satisfied. A few days later, Helen and Lily moved out of the house. Everything returned to normal, as if my father had never brought them home. However, this peace was shattered at a commercial banquet. My father, with a grim expression, found my mother chatting happily in the crowd. That document was fake. You played a trick, my mother innocently asked. What trick did I play? The voluntary property transfer document was swapped. The one you signed has no legal effect. My father grabbed her hand. It's just a few small companies. Can't you give them to her? My mother frowned. A few small companies? That's half my life's struggle, and you easily offer it to someone else? Don't forget, your career was also built with my help. My father's face turned pale. So did you really do it? Claire, you insisted on marrying me in the first place, and now you don't care. Just then, a commotion erupted outside the main door, and a woman's weeping voice reached us. Claire, you are a truly vicious woman. James and I were deeply in love. You took advantage of his family's decline, making your assistance a condition to force him to marry you, stealing my lover. And now you want to push me to the brink. Do you want to kill me? She was twisting the facts. Helping his career was real, but forced marriage was fake. My mother told me she was the one who pursued him first, but my father was the one who felt attracted first. Lily was there too, tearfully supporting her mother, looking at me in the crowd. Sister, Mom and I don't have a family anymore. We just want a little something to live on. Is that too much to ask? The two of them played the role of the victim perfectly. Only I knew that those small companies were all new startups that hadn't been fully invested in yet. Once developed, they would definitely bring in a fortune. This was what my father and they were aiming for. He must have thought my mother loved him so much that she would concede the assets to get rid of the mistress. Too bad the plan failed. So he lost his temper, trying to humiliate my mother in public. Many of my mother's partners laughed at her, laughing because her husband's mistress was causing a scene right in front of everyone. Helen cried even louder. My mother also wiped the corner of her eyes. I did sign the document, and I intended to give the companies away. But I don't know why there was a problem. My father angrily tried to step forward but was blocked by a man. Gold-rimmed glasses, a neat suit, and a distant smile on his lips. It was my father's secretary. My father halted. Secretary Lee, what are you doing? The elegant man stepped forward again, completely shielding my mother behind him. Secretary Lee, long time no see. My mother peeked out from behind him, a hint of mischief in her eyes. James's document had a problem. Do you know what it was? Oh, I forgot. You were his personal secretary, so these things naturally passed through your hands. Helen couldn't cry anymore. She looked like she had seen a ghost, her eyes blank. Who was Kevin Lee? He was the secretary my father trusted the most. The matters my father and Helen discussed would inevitably be revealed to him. But now, the person who should be on their side was standing in front of my mother. Even a blind person could see what was happening. I burst out laughing, obediently greeting Kevin Lee. Uncle Lee, hello. Brother couldn't make it today. He said he misses you very much. These words weren't explicit, but they were enough for the surrounding people to let their imaginations run wild. My mother gently pulled Secretary Lee's sleeve and said to my father, "Didn't you always want to find out who that man was? Here, I'll tell you today." I knew my father had been investigating my mother's affair partner since that day, but he still had no clue. Of course, the person he sent to investigate was Secretary Lee, who would investigate themselves. Kevin Lee? My father finally understood, grinding out each word. Ethan, Kevin Lee. When did you and he start your relationship? Relationship? Don't use such an unpleasant word, James. My mother was calm and composed under my father's dagger-like gaze. When your career was in decline, I wanted to help you, so naturally I had to interact a lot with your secretary. Otherwise, how would you have climbed to your current position? Secretary Lee patted my mother's hand on his sleeve. The mole under his eye made him look like a smiling fox. "Mr. James, I happen to submit my resignation to you today. From now on, I will be the Madame's secretary." This time, the one being laughed at was my father. He no longer had his initial bravado. He and Helen dared not say another word. After exchanging a few glances, Helen took Lily and left. After that day, my father seemed like a different person. He was no longer cold or spoke harshly to my mother and me. Instead, he constantly showed concern. Tisk, wasn't he just seeing his plan fail and realizing that Secretary Lee was my mother's man, afraid he'd reveal something detrimental to him? Helen was placed elsewhere by my father and dared not cause trouble for the time being. But Secretary Lee frequently came to the house, ostensibly to deliver documents and discuss work, but in reality, to be with my mother. The more my father saw this, the more sullen his face became, but he dared not say anything. After enduring this for a week, he secretly found me. I was wrong before, and I made you and your mother suffer. Scarlett, can you help your father? What a cheap and fake apology. I casually mentioned, Mom's severe illness from a while ago hasn't fully recovered yet. His eyes lit up. He immediately bought a lot of supplements and brought them home, clattering around in the kitchen for a while, and served a bowl of stewed soup. But my mother only glanced at it and looked away. I looked closely. Oh, red dates. My mother was allergic to red dates. She had accidentally eaten them once before and immediately broke out in hives, requiring a trip to the hospital. After years of marriage, my father didn't even know she was allergic to red dates. How sad. The soup was set aside. My mother didn't look at it again. It wasn't until Secretary Lee came to deliver documents again that he told my father why my mother hadn't drunk it. "Mr. James, if you don't know anything, how can you do a good job?" Secretary Lee's tone was flat, but it made my father utterly lose face. My father was silent, watching Secretary Lee place the bird's nest, stewed with rock sugar he brought on the table, and scoop a bowl for my mother. I moved closer to my mother, waving to Ethan. "Brother, come quickly, Uncle stewed delicious soup." Ethan, wearing a tracksuit, slowly walked over and called Secretary Lee Dad. My father's face darkened even further. He slammed the door and left. Looking at us, we were the harmonious, happy family, and my father was merely a jumping clown. My father did not give up on trying to appease my mother. After all, he had entrusted Secretary Lee with some of his company's trade secrets. Secretary Lee was his most trusted confidant. But now this confidant had betrayed him and become my mother's man. He was attentive at home, and outside he went to great lengths to show his goodwill to my mother, investing in her major projects. But my mother was unmoved, treating his concern as if it didn't exist and ignoring his investments. This time, my father was truly anxious. Seeing my mother being driven home by Secretary Lee again, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He grabbed my mother's hand, his eyes red at the corners. "Claire, I was truly wrong. I've already sent Helen away, and I've been trying to make amends these past few days." He slowly moved closer, his eyes full of pain. "But I've done so much, and you haven't even looked at me once. Can't you forgive me a little?" I quickly put on my coat and rushed out, standing in front of my mother. Belated affection is cheaper than weeds. "Why didn't you act sooner?" My father tried to say something, but I launched another attack. "It was my mother who pursued you first and wanted to marry you, but didn't you also agree? And you benefited quite a bit from it. Now you're acting like my mother forced you. If you didn't want to marry her, who could force you?" You want to have your cake and eat it too. You used my mother's help to build your family business, and then you wanted to take her assets and have a perfect ending with your white moonlight. You want all the benefits in the world for yourself. My mother pinched my angry, puffed-up face, then tossed a file at my father. I don't want to play with you anymore. Prepare for a divorce. It was the divorce papers. My father completely lost control, looking at my mother in disbelief. You want to divorce me? Don't forget, in the beginning, you cried every day. It was only with me by your side that you could pull yourself together. Without me, can you survive? Secretary Lee kicked my father in the stomach. He groaned, falling to the ground in pain. My mother looked down at him. After a while, she moved her steps toward him, squatting down to pinch his face. It really is very similar, truly very similar, she muttered, meticulously examining his face. I couldn't find a second person who looked so much like him. My father's face lit up and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, my mother's fingers tightened, her eyes terrifyingly calm. Too bad you're not him after all. You're just a substitute. Why do you think I've always tolerated you? My mother patted her hands and stood up. My father struggled to get up but was kicked back to the ground by Secretary Lee. Secretary Lee smiled, but his eyes were covered in a layer of cold frost. Mr. James, I advise you to be honest. My mother revealed a hint of sorrow. Actually, you intentionally approached me. After Charles had a car accident and fell into the sea, I was truly devastated. So devastated I wanted to die with him, and you appeared at that time. You and he were half-brothers, and you really were too similar, from your face to your personality. So, when I was at my most emotionally vulnerable, you deliberately imitated him, making me want to be with you. My mother continued softly. I married you, desperately trying to escape the darkness, but you were just coveting my assets. In your plan, you would take my assets, and then your white moonlight would appear, telling everyone I was the one who stole her lover. I was the vicious and sinister one, and then you could smoothly divorce without a single blemish. My mother's shoulders trembled. She hugged her arms tightly. I draped my coat over her. My mother's words were gentle, but stabbed straight into the heart, tearing my father's false facade to shreds. His ingratiating gaze had long vanished, replaced only by cruelty. My mother saw this and laughed again. James, you're good at calculating, good at being ruthless. Too bad I'm crazier than you. My father was investigated by the Tax Bureau for tax evasion. It was clearly Secretary Lee's handwriting. No one understood the loopholes in my father's company better than him. My father was troubled and busy, so my mother naturally took over the company. My mother then threw the work to Secretary Lee, driving my father crazy. For 2 consecutive days, my mother's phone constantly lit up with my father's messages. My mother ignored them, which gave me plenty to laugh at. Secretary Lee blocked one number after another for my mother, but he still couldn't stop my father's venomous words. It was a new number this time, and my mother answered the call. Claire, do you have to be so heartless? We were husband and wife once. Can't you show any mercy? Charles's belongings are still at the James's house. Haven't you always been unable to forget him? If you push me to the brink, I'll throw everything away. This time, my mother didn't hang up after a few words. She sat in my father's office, listening seriously to his long speech, then interrupted him. That's right, so you still remember Charles? I almost forgot how he died. You tampered with his car and killed him? Silence on the other end? What are you talking about? I don't understand. You don't understand? That's fine. The evidence will make the police understand. My mother spun her chair and tossed my father's picture frame on the desk into the trash can. What you stole from Charles should be returned now. I should thank you for cleaning up the mess of the James family so I could take back the thriving James Corporation for Charles. After a few seconds of silence, my father's angry roar came through. My mother covered her mouth, laughing so hard she bent over. Did you think you could have smooth sailing all these years? I wanted you to develop the James Corporation step by step and then watch it fall into my hands. Secretary Lee, calm as ever, took my mother's phone and blocked the number again. The evidence we found isn't enough for a conviction. You know you don't intend to use that to put him in jail. I hadn't recovered from my astonishment when I saw my mother waving me over. She stroked my head. Scarlett, can you help Mom with something? Helen and Lily came knocking again. My mother wouldn't see them, so they turned and knelt in front of me. "Scarlett, I apologize to you, dear." I looked at the mother and daughter kneeling before me and found it ridiculous. Remembering their hateful behavior before, I rolled my eyes. "Auntie, my mother is already planning to divorce Dad." Seeing Helen's face about to cry, I put on a troubled expression. "Didn't you know? You caused such a scene in our house before, and Mom was very hurt. Now, you just kneel and say a few soft words. Mom might not forgive you." I looked at Helen with worry. After a moment of hesitation, Helen raised her hand and slapped her own face. "Miss Scarlett, I was wrong. I was despicable. I intentionally slandered you. I was shameless, and I wanted James to swindle your assets." The slaps were loud and clear, and I enjoyed listening. Helen's face was already swollen red, a startling sight. But was that enough? I shifted my gaze to Lily, who was tearful beside her. I forced out a few tears, looking even more wronged than her. "My mom is hurting, and I'm hurting too, little sister." She immediately understood, her nose red as she looked at me. After a while, she also raised her hand and slapped her fair face hard. "It's all my fault. I made you unhappy before." Her voice was trembling and choked. Before long, her face was as swollen as her mother's. It was even funnier than a comedy show. "Scarlett, do you think this is enough? Can this satisfy you and your mother?" Helen looked at me pleadingly. "Please beg your mother." Before she could finish, the nanny came to call me for dinner. I sweetly replied, then casually said to the two kneeling figures, I know. I'll tell her. I just treated this as a joke to tell Ethan." A few days later, Helen sought me out again, anxiously asking if I had told my mother. "Oh dear, I'm sorry. I've been too busy these past few days. I completely forgot about it. Those slaps were probably for nothing." I knew Helen had been watching me these past few days. She had also seen me hanging out with friends everywhere. I was intentionally teasing her, trampling on her last sliver of hope, humiliating her. She broke down, yelling, "Scarlett, how can you be like this? You and your mother are the same, vicious." I crossed my arms, watching her being dragged away by the security guard I had called, and smiled. "Thank you for the compliment, Auntie." They wanted to make up with a few slaps? Dream on. They didn't achieve their goal and were played with instead. My father, who was already distraught, would surely be even more enraged. My mother was protected by Secretary Lee, and he couldn't touch her, so he aimed for me. On a dark road outside the school, he cornered me. In the dark warehouse, James had dark circles under his eyes, a scruffy beard, and a haggard, emaciated appearance. "Claire, I didn't want it to come to this. You forced me." He was smoking, talking to the other end of the line. "I've invited Scarlett over to my place. You help me deal with the company's troubles and destroy the evidence you have, and I'll let the girl go, okay?" Claire's voice came through the phone. "James, you're truly insane. Wasn't it her who forced you?" James suddenly raised his voice. "I originally didn't want to harm any of you. You are my family too. I just wanted to get some benefits from you and leave. If you had transferred those assets to me back then, we could have parted peacefully. But you played games with me again and again, and you want to push me to this point." He took a few deep breaths, then tried to calm down. "Do as I say, and I'll return Charles's belongings to you." "No," came the reply. "James, how can I let you off the hook so easily?" James's eyes gradually dimmed, his whole body deflating like a pierced balloon. A few minutes later, he burst out laughing. "Fine, I'm ruined anyway, so I might as well take Scarlett down with me." The girl was tied to a chair, a sack over her head, unconscious, completely unaware of what was about to happen. A flicker of reluctance crossed James's eyes. He blinked several times, but then only cruelty remained. He pulled out a knife and lunged fiercely at the girl. "Claire, Charles died by my hand, and now Scarlett also dies by my hand. Are you satisfied now?" He gasped, asking the other end of the line. But all he heard was Claire's uncontrolled laughter. "Scarlett, James, Scarlett is right beside me." "Which Scarlett did you just kill?" The piercing wail of police sirens sounded. I followed my mother and saw my father kneeling on the ground in a daze. The sack was pulled off Lily, who was covered in blood and only had a faint breath left. On that dark road, she and I had been swapped. My father hadn't noticed at all. Now my father was handcuffed and being dragged into the police car. He seemed to have gone mad, starting to laugh and cry simultaneously. "Claire, you are right. You are crazier than me. You are more ruthless than me. Tell me, why would a gentle, slow-witted person like Charles like you? He was so foolish that he was kind even to someone with bad intentions like me. But you are so vicious. You made me kill my own daughter." Although my heart had long turned cold, my eyes were red at this moment. Had he never considered me his daughter from the start? Was I just a link in his opportunistic plan? My mother gently held me. My father continued, "I just admired him. I was just jealous of him. Why could he easily obtain everything in the Jameses family while I could only get scraps? And being with you, he could even get help from the foster family. Why did God favor him so much?" My mother violently slapped him. "Because your mother was a mistress, a bastard like you can't see the light of day. You killed him, and then you came to deceive me, making me live with my lover's murderer for so many years. However much I hate you now, that's how deep you will sink into hell." My father was finally escorted into the police car. His actions were enough to condemn him to death. Lily did not survive her emergency journey to the hospital. Helen, upon hearing the news, went insane and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. The James Corporation was bought out by my mother. The James family collapsed, especially my aunt, who, after causing a scene, was expelled from the city by Secretary Lee. This is what my mother told my father on her last visit to him. In the 20th year after Charles's death, a deranged James was escorted to the execution ground. We moved out of the old house. My mother bought a small apartment in a coastal city. For the first time in many years, my mother truly smiled. She ran barefoot on the beach, her laughter bright like a girl in her 20s. The hateful person was gone. The remaining people were those who loved each other. My mother ran and laughed, embraced by Uncle Lee. Under the brilliant sunset, the sea shimmered. Uncle Lee gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. "It's all over." My mother tilted her head, gently rubbing his shoulder, her voice hoarse. "Thank you for staying with me all these years." Uncle Lee shook his head, his eyes gentle as water. "I should be thanking you," he said. "That year, my ex-wife pushed me into debt, and I had to raise Ethan. If it weren't for you, I don't know how I would have managed." It was only then that I learned that after hearing my mother was being deceived by my father, Uncle Lee had deliberately applied to work as his secretary. All these years, he had been quietly monitoring everything. My mother looked into the distance. The vast sea waves reflected a lingering sadness in her eyes. "I just miss Charles so much. I miss his gentle demeanor, which is why I tried to learn from him and help others." The man Uncle Lee had never met was submerged deep beneath the ocean. But there would still be people who continued to love my mother. I was truly happy. I scooped up a handful of sand and threw it straight at Ethan. He lowered his head, eating a mouthful of sand, muttering a few curses, and lunged to catch me. "Watch me, don't throw things. I'm your brother, you rude girl. What are you doing?" I pouted and made a funny face. "Who wants a brother like you? Don't even dream of lecturing me again." Seeing him lunge, I took off running, but short legs are no match for long ones. "I just remind you of things. It's not lecturing." He caught up to me, bent down to pick up the hair tie that had fallen in the sand, and whispered, "Your mom said girls shouldn't be alone with boys at night. It's dangerous." It was just chatting with a classmate. He skillfully tied my hair back and brushed the sand off my shirt. Under the sunset, the young man's eyebrows showed a rare tenderness. While I was still stunned, he unexpectedly threw a handful of sand at me. "Aha, you jerk, just wait. No more suffering. Everyone will live well now."